The night had already settled heavy over the Montana prairie by the time Ethan Carver realized something was wrong. The kind of wrong that prickles along a man's spine before he even knows why. A feeling that something out there in the storm is calling to him, begging to be found. He stood on the porch of his lonely ranch house, lantern in hand, watching the rain sweep across the land in sheets as the wind howled like some wounded creature, searching for shelter. And as he turned to go back inside, hoping to bury himself in another quiet, empty evening, he heard it, a small, thin, frightened cry drifting through the roar of the storm. A cry so faint Ethan almost thought it was the wind playing tricks on him. But then it came again, unmistakable, heartbroken, terrified, the sound of a child. Without thinking, he grabbed his coat, shoved the door open, and stepped into the storm. The rain cold and punishing against his face as he moved across the yard, toward the barn, each step sinking into mud that seemed to pull at him, as if the land itself didn't want him to reach what was calling. Lightning tore across the sky, giving him a brief, blinding flash of light, and in that moment he saw movement inside the barn, small and huddled and alone. "Hello," Ethan called out, but the storm swallowed his voice. He pushed the barn doors open, their hinges groaning, the scent of wet hay and frightened animals hitting him all at once. Then he froze. There, curled in the corner between two bales of hay, was a little girl, no more than 5, maybe 6, her hair plastered to her face, her dress soaked through, her bare feet muddy and cut, her small body trembling so violently she looked like she might fall apart. When her eyes lifted to his, wide and shining with fear, Ethan felt something shift deep inside him, something he thought had died the day he buried his wife and unborn child, something he never expected to feel again, a fierce, protective pull that took his breath away. He kneeled slowly, lifting his lantern just enough to see her face. "Hey there," he said softly, trying to keep his voice warm, steady. "It's all right. You're safe now." The girl shook her head, backing up until her small hands hit the wooden wall behind her. No, we are not," she whispered, her voice barely stronger than the storm tapping at the roof. Ethan swallowed, feeling his heart pound. "What's your name, sweetheart?" She hesitated, as if deciding whether she should trust him, and then whispered, "Lila." Her lips trembled as she added, "He's coming." Mama tried to stop him. Ethan's stomach tightened, a cold, sharp fear cutting through him. "Where's your mama, Lila?" For a moment she didn't speak. She stared at the floor, breathing fast, and then her small voice cracked as she whispered, words that chilled Ethan to the bone, "Mama's dying outside." The moment she spoke, Ethan was on his feet, adrenaline slamming through him. "Stay right here," he told her, though she clung to his sleeve with surprising strength. "I'll bring her back. I promise." His promise hung in the air like a fragile thread, but he meant it with everything in him. He tore into the storm, lantern swinging wildly as he followed the direction Lila pointed, his boots splashing through mud, the wind pushing against him like a living thing trying to shove him back. "Clara!" He shouted into the darkness. He didn't know her name yet, but somehow shouting anything felt better than shouting nothing. He scanned the ground, the trees, the brush, until finally, the lantern's beam hit something lying still near the tree line. A shape. A woman. Ethan sprinted, dropped to his knees beside her, and felt for a pulse, faint, fading, but there. Her skin was ice cold, her lips turning blue, her hair matted with mud and blood from a wound along her forehead. Her dress was torn, as if someone had grabbed at her, as if she had fought. He lifted her, shocked by how light she was, and ran, actually ran, through the wind, shielding her with his body as he barreled back toward the barn. Lila gasped when she saw them, scrambling across the straw. "Mama, Mama, wake up!" She cried, grabbing her mother's limp hand. Ethan laid the woman gently on a blanket, his breath fogging in the cold air as he worked fast, drying her skin with his shirt, wrapping her in old quilts, lighting the iron stove until heat began to spread across the barn. But even as warmth crept back into her cheeks, her breathing stayed shallow, uneven. Lila crawled close and whispered, "Mama, please don't leave me," and that whisper hit Ethan harder than any storm ever could. He looked at the child, then at the woman, and then at the barn doors, wondering who they were running from, and whether that danger was still out there, watching. Ethan double-checked the latch, then dragged a heavy crate in front of the doors, just in case. When he sat beside Lila, he softened his voice. "Can you tell me what happened?" Lila wiped her eyes, sniffled, and whispered, "Mama said we had to run. She said he was angry. She said he'd hurt us." Ethan felt something hot and angry rise inside him. Whoever he was, he had terrified this child enough to send her running barefoot into a storm. He brushed a strand of hair gently from Lila's face. "You're safe now. I won't let anyone hurt you. Not you, not your mama." But even as he said it, Ethan felt a prickle at the back of his neck. The storm outside was nothing compared to the darkness that had chased this little girl here. And somewhere out there, a man filled with rage was searching for the two souls, now hiding under Ethan's roof. The night dragged on slowly, the storm refusing to end. Lila eventually fell asleep curled beside her unconscious mother, her tiny hand clutching Clara's fingers. Ethan sat near them, lantern glowing softly, listening to the rain strike the tin roof like 1,000 warnings from the sky. He didn't know these strangers. He didn't know their story. But he knew this. Fate had brought them to his barn for a reason, and by morning, whatever had begun tonight would change the course of all their lives forever. And as he watched the small family sleep, Ethan felt something, a responsibility, a connection, maybe even the first spark of purpose he'd felt in years, something that told him he would fight the whole world if he had to, just to keep them safe. And if you're listening to this story right now, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because the storm that started tonight is only the beginning of the danger, love, and destiny waiting in the chapters ahead.